This is Sports Overtime, sponsored by Alice Lloyd College, Music Carter Hughes, Lowe's Sporting Goods, Freeman and Copeland Attorneys at Law, Marine Myers Ford, Childers Tire and Supply, Taco Bell, Carter Hughes Toyota, and Happy Mart.
Welcome back to Sports Overtime and another 25 minutes of the top mountain football you can find. We've searched the peaks and the valleys of Eastern Kentucky to bring you the best bowl full of pigskin in the state. I'm Scott Staten.
And I'm Keith Casebold. And if it's homecomings and rivalries that you love, then this show is going to be absolutely full of it. Some of the best matchups that you could ever think of squared off tonight, several on the gridirons, and you're going to see them all as we take you down memory lane tonight on Sports OT.
It's all right here. It's coming up shortly. But first, we will take you on a trip down the road to the home of a king. The state's leading rusher the past 2 years is leading the state once again, and tonight Scotty Russell brought his team home for the first time this season.
Well, the Everett's Wildcats and the Lincamp Wildcats were together, and our Victor Black was there. And Victor, whenever you put two sets of Wildcats together, it's got to be a tough claw fight.
No doubt about it. Kind of going for king of the jungle tonight, I guess you could say. And Everett's looking to improve on their record tonight, but just wasn't the case. As we'll pick up the action in the first quarter, and it's Everett's Scotty Russell as he goes down there. He goes all the way down the sideline. He'll dive into the end zone for the touchdown. Everett's goes on top 6-0 as they miss the extra point. And it's Russell having a good night again as he goes 17 yards. He'll break a couple tackles and put a few nice moves on a few people, and he'll pick up a first down for Everett's. And this will set up a 13-yard touchdown run by Robbie Curry as he'll go down the far side of the field. He doesn't leap in the end zone, but he does score, and Everett's goes on top 12-0. But that just wasn't the case for the Wildcats tonight as Lincamp comes back in the second half, and they go on to win this one 22-19. And guys, Scotty Russell, even though they lost, has still got to feel good about his performance tonight. He picks up 210 yards on the evening, so he's getting closer and closer to the record every ball game.
Vic, when you get close to the record, it's not going to get any easier. Next week, Everett's is going to take on those tough Corbin Redhounds.
It definitely doesn't get easier. Corbin's reputation is one that precedes him in the mountains. Losing to Lincamp, you got to wonder how Everett's is going to fare against the Redhounds, but I don't think that they can stop Scotty Russell. So I feel like he'll definitely pick up his 200-plus yards next week against the Redhounds, but it's going to be a great ball game.
Okay, thanks a lot, Vic. And big surprise there. We were expecting to have couple of unbeaten teams, and Lincamp pulls the big shocker over Everett's.
Could be some motivation for Everett's next week against Corbin.
Certainly could be. We'll have to wait and see, I guess. Well, 2 years ago, it would have been an enticing matchup on the basketball court. Leslie County and Clay County hooking up for battle.
But this season, you see, it's shaped up to be one of the best confrontations on Kentucky's high school gridiron. Both teams unbeaten, both teams getting statewide attention, and both teams needing a win in the district for an upper hand on the playoffs.
Let's pick it up and go out to Leslie County as Clay County and Leslie County hooked up, and this was a good one. The expected offensive fireworks were overshadowed by a defensive struggle. DeShay Henson kills an early Leslie County drive when he picks off this pass, tips it in the air, and he goes 10 yards. That kills it. It was scoreless in the first. The defenses exchanged blows for most of the first half. Paul Kevin Davidson gets stuffed up the middle by the Leslie County defense. It remained 0-0, but late in the half, Clay County breaks the tie. Kerry Johnson connects on the unbelievable catch by DeShay. If he can't run over you, he'll catch over you. It gets Clay in field goal range, and all the points we expected never showed up. But Kerry Johnson connects from 30 yards, and Clay led it 3-0 as the horn sounds for the break. The second half was more of the same. Clay County's defense slugging it out with Leslie County's defense. They went 3 quarters and only scored 3 points between them. But then in the fourth, Greg Couch finally bursts through. Not through the air, he runs it himself from 10 yards out. And Leslie grabs an 8-3 lead in the fourth, but it doesn't last long. On the very next play from scrimmage, Clay County will explode. Kerry Johnson will drop back, and he hits his junior receiver, Anthony Gregory. He's gone 75 yards. He will be caught from behind by Baker, but it's on the 10-yard line, and then Johnson decides to take it in himself. You will see it here. The pressure on as the clock is ticking down. Clay County continues the drive, and Johnson will eye the line and take it in himself. That score made it 9-8 Clay. DeShay Henson would add a 40-yard touchdown later, but Leslie rallies to tie it. It went to OT. Neither team would score, and in the double overtime period, Leslie County scores with the extra point, or the 2-point conversion. Clay County scored but could not get the two-point conversion, and they lose their first game of the year. Unbelievable. Leslie County remains 4-0 on the season. How confident is the #1 team in Single A? Well, for openers, Pikeville finished their game last week with their starters in street clothes the entire second half. And when the Panthers' opponent for tonight's game couldn't make the trip to Pikeville to play, they switched their scheduled home game and made the trip themselves. In a home game on the road, Pikeville goes to Wheelwright, and the buses, the only ones that could make it there for the Pikeville Panthers, against a 2-1 surprising Wheelwright team. The Panthers
I'd say we've surprised a few. Like I said, going into this year, you know, we felt like we could be a good ball team. We'd worked hard in the off-season, had a good strength program. And a lot of these kids have played, you know, for us 3 and 4 years. Like Greg's a 4-year starter, Michael Baker's a 4-year starter. And we felt like we had just the right mixture that we could be a good football team.
One of the reasons for the Eagles' success this season has been quarterback Greg Couch. The senior commands a fleet of offensive threats that can attack an opponent's defense from the air or ground.
Yeah, we do have an Air Force attack. We like to throw the ball a lot. Last year, Greg was one of the top quarterbacks in the state, and this year he's one of the best again. We've been throwing the ball a lot this year. We got a couple receivers over 200 yards already, and we have been throwing the ball a lot. We got some good running backs too, though. We got a good offensive line. We got to have them before we can throw the ball.
I think part of the reason we're doing so well this year is because the offensive lines are giving plenty of time to throw, and with Landry and Mike and Denley and Maggard back, I think we got a pretty good air attack, and the way the line's going right now, we can run the ball too.
The Eagles' defense has flanked their powerful offensive attack, allowing the balanced strike force to wreak havoc on the opposition.
We felt like our defense, you know, in the Kaywood game, first of all, played soundly. Our offense didn't do quite what we, you know, would like there, but as the years came on, our offense came along and hazard game. Defense played well enough to win, and in the last game, you know, we felt like we got a better defensive effort, and then offensively, you know, we've been putting around, you know, 3-4 touchdowns on the board.
Leslie County's success thus far gives them the rank and file of an elite group, a unit a cut above the rest.
Top gun. That's what I call it, top gun.
For Sports Overtime, I'm Victor Black.
Top gun indeed, and they are the top gun right now in their district, 4-0, right up there with Belfry, and I think they're really shocking a lot of people.
Probably throwing the ball a little bit better than Tom Cruise, Craig, don't you think?
Probably. A little bit more on target, probably, too, than a couple of those missiles in the movie. Well, the Eagles are also picking up votes in the Associated Press high school polls. Along with their respect, what did they pick up any votes in our Mountain Top 5, Keith?
Scott, I can't wait. Let's take a look at the Mountain Top 5. They did get some votes, but I don't know if it was enough. The Pikeville Panthers are going to be #1. The Panthers with a big win over Wheelwright tonight, 47-6. Corbin comes up to #2. We'll have to wait and see how they're affected next week. They lose tonight to Glasgow. The Belfry Pirates will come in at #3. The Pirates 4-0 with a win over Prestonford tonight. Then Scotty Russell at Everts. Now, they're #4 now. A surprising loss tonight to Lynn Camp. A tough Corbin team next week. Everett might have a hard time staying in the top 5, and Bell County will round out the Mountain Top 5.
Mountain Top 5, and for once, we didn't get a lot of calls this week, so apparently we're getting a little bit better at our votes, I guess.
I'm having a funny feeling, Scott, that it's getting hard to pick a top 5, don't you think?
It certainly is. You got all these upsets, and there's so many good teams in the mountains this year, it's really hard to make your pick. Well, we are winding down the clock on this edition of Sports Overtime, but don't go away. We've still got to run down the pennant race.
And we're going to take a look down Cumberland Way, you see, because there's a welcome home of sports legends. It's one of the NBA's